Going online. So far, we're doing good. We're live. I think we're actually live.
Oh boy.
We're 25 minutes late, but we're live. Here, I gotta share this with some peoples. Let me see. How do I share? Yeah, that's how I share. Okay, can I see how many people? Okay, we got 0 people in here right now. So they're still waiting on notifications. They'll be in here in a minute. Let's see, book face. We are live. Too many eyes. There we go, I'll just spell it normal. Okay, how do I do this? Paste. Alright, I think we're doing good. We got 0 drop frames. Share. Save. Share now. Okay. Can I share? Are you going to let me share? Share. Okay. Cool. What does that do? Okay. I'm like trying to figure out how to work Facebook here. Oh, we're up to 3 people. What's up, everybody? How are you doing tonight?
Yeah.
Did I do this right? I didn't do it right. I'm gonna redo it. I don't know how to social media everybody, so I apologize. Friends, save, change. I had to get my wife to show me how to get this to where I can share with public people on the Facebook. Sorry, I'm like completely new setup, as you can tell. We are actually hanging out in John's apartment. He was super awesome and is letting us do this live stream here. I didn't even have to bribe him. He just like volunteered, which was amazing.
I mean, I get lonely. So.
Oh, hey, Kevin Stuckey. What's going on, man? All right.
Hi, Kevin.
Leanna says hi. She's hiding slightly off screen because there wasn't enough room on this couch, and I don't have another microphone. So let me share this on the Twitter face, and then we can get to going here. I'm just kind of killing some time, waiting on people to show up. Kevin says hi, Leanna. Let's see. Paste.
Hello, Kevin.
Yes, Kevin, this is John. John, this is Kevin.
Oh, we met. See the chat?
Nice. Nice. All right.
Oh, this might be the setup that finally works.
Yeah.
On take 2003. Live stream 2003. We finally get it.
I think I messed up. Okay. Whew. I thought I put on Twitter that we are alive instead of live. I can absolutely let you know we are not dead. We are 100% alive. But yeah, so new setup, new microphones, new soundboard. Totally borrowing the church's camera here to test out some live stream stuff. Hey Kevin, can you do me a huge favor and in the chat let me know if my audio is synced up correctly. I kind of did some test setups here, and I just want to make sure it doesn't look like a cheap, like, kung fu movie. Let's see here. Man, this is nice. I'm liking this. We have a massive TV in front of us now, instead of like a little teeny tiny computer monitor. And it looks pretty good. All right. Not bad for a bunch of amateurs. High five, buddy. Oh. we got to work on this a little bit. I'm starting to feel kind of claustrophobic.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, welcome to Player Tuesday. There is one rule and only one rule to this live stream, and that is to expect nothing. This is not going to be a crazy production value stream. Mainly, and this is what I explained to John, this stream is just going to be two guys hanging out talking about whatever in the world we feel like talking about. So that's going to be the extent of it. We're not going to go above and beyond with fancy like backgrounds and whatnot. We're actually going to end up pulling the audio from these live streams and eventually making a podcast that's going to be available on all of the major platforms, your iTunes, your Stitcher, Spotify, all that good stuff. So yeah, that is the point of this live stream. Also, so I can try to sucker John into being a bigger part of Digibit. I'm currently trying to work on him getting a Twitter. So be sure to sound off in the comments and tell John to get a Twitter.
I'll get a Twitter, I guess.
Tell you what.
I'll do it.
If we get one more sub off of this live stream, John has to do a Twitter account.
Well, I'll do it. Okay.
We're just gonna like twist and pull and bend those arms. See, you need to get on the Twitterverse. Kevin's got my back. Truth be told, I rarely Twitter or tweet or I tweet. I guess that's what you call it, tweeting. Mainly, I just it's 2019, John. It's time. Oh man, poor John's getting hammered tonight, and not in a good way. So anyway,
for me.
Now that we've been on this little rabbit trail, so basically how the format of this show is gonna work is basically there's three main topics that we'll talk about at any given time. That is tech and movies and video games, preferably retro games. We're just going to kind of pick some topic pieces and just roll with it today. We really didn't have anything prepared, so this live stream may be a little bit boring, but that's A-okay because you guys are awesome for showing up. But, so what we'll do, there are some categories. John, would you like to explain the categories?
Sure. Well, I mean, kind of. I mean, we've got a segment that will move around a little bit. A couple of segments that are interchangeable. One of them's a movie review segment that we've decided to call Classic or Pass It. It's pretty simple, pretty loose form. We'll just choose a movie, talk about it. And then I guess what's the other one?
Well, what's the point of it? Are we giving it like a seal of approval, like classic, like you should watch it, or pass it, like?
Well, sure.
Is that the?
I think that's what we've decided. Yes.
Okay.
And then yeah, we'll just talk about the film, and then we'll talk about our own personal recommendation or the contrary too.
Which, by the way, we are totally doing a spoiler cast for Bird Box at the end of this stream. We're going to wait till the end so that way we don't spoil anything for anybody who's tuning in. And we'll announce it again before the end, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Okay, and then I guess retro review is our other setup for a segment, which will choose a video game, specifically older titles.
We love our retro games around here.
To very similar. Just talk about our personal feelings about it.
How does
give
this
it some
game make you
analysis.
feel?
Yeah. So.
Okay. And with the tech, what we'll do is before I tried to really like make it heavy with tech and really get super in depth about some stuff. That's not going to be happening anymore. I realized that most of the people who are tuning in probably know kind of like low to mid grade like tech level stuff. Like they can work a DVD player, but they can't really like reinstall Windows sort of thing. So what we're going to be doing is basically if there's like any big news, we're going to be hitting those topics, and I'm going to try my best to explain it to John, who is not tech savvy, but I'll tell you what, he knows a lot.
Bright-eyed and ready to learn.
Exactly. And this is why I love John. He's eager to learn. But also, he's going to teach me a lot about movies, and that's actually something we're going to kind of tie in once a month. He has given me homework. Can you believe it? I've been out of school for almost, actually close to 9 years now, and I'm getting homework again.
Should have been done better on your test, Curtis.
I can't help it, man. I can't help it. I just don't test well.
Yeah, Curtis. I may not be the one to be the teacher either, but Curtis and I have decided to take a look at some classic films, some cult classics over the next year here, and so we'll every month we'll take a look at a new cult classic film, one that Curtis hasn't seen yet, and we'll see what he thinks.
Yeah, and what should I say it, or should you be the one to say my homework for this month?
Reveal it.
All right, so I have to watch a very old, very cheesy looking movie called Barbarella. I know absolutely nothing about this movie. Do you?
I do.
Please elaborate so I'm not like looking awkward over here.
Or do you want to talk about it now, or do you want to save it?
Well, just give like a general like kind of not like what would be on the back of the cover.
Yeah, it's sort of a campy sci-fi film from the 1960s, I want to say. Who's our lead here? I don't know. I wasn't prepared. Curtis put me on the spot.
Got him.
I didn't do my homework. Oh, by the way.
So I have to do my homework, but you don't have to do yours. I'm just saying.
I'm the teacher, young man.
I'm the teacher.
Yeah, sci-fi film from the 60s, kind of campy, kind of perfect as a cult classic nomination. It's I'll say that it's more or less about what you'd expect, and that it's sort of something you can't quite expect.
Yeah, and let me give you an idea of the extent that John went through and the hard work he's actually put into this. So we work together. I'm not going to announce where I work because I don't want crazy fans stalking me with my like hundreds of millions of... I'm just kidding. I don't have that many subscribers. But anyway, I just got to be secretive. So we worked together. He came up to me at work and handed me a page that was completely like filled front and back with handwritten movie titles. And it was what, 160 plus
I don't know.
movies? And I had to go through and select which ones I've already seen because all of these movies are going to be things that I haven't seen before. So I had to go through, pick through them all, and he came up with a master list for the next year. And I'm pretty excited. I think he's. I've heard of several of the movies, and I'm really bad about being like, "Oh man, I should totally watch this movie," and then just never do. Um, yeah, I'm not a movie watcher, but yeah, so I'm super excited about this.
Although to make it clear, Curtis only knows a month ahead.
Yes.
I know with enough time to watch the film. What was your thinking on when will we reveal the title? Obviously, we just did for this
Yes.
next one, but is your intent to be the stream of or the stream before?
Well, I was thinking it would actually be pretty cool if we could include the audience in it. So I'm thinking like maybe the beginning stream of the month,
Okay.
which will technically be next Tuesday because this is not actually stream number 1. This is like stream 0. We're on our 0 mission here. But anyway, so we'll announce like, hey, this is the movie we're watching. If you want to watch along, we'll be talking about this later in the month. Unfortunately, with my schedule, I recently just picked up a lot more work for the channel, so I can't really designate like it'll be the 3rd week in the month every month. I'm just not that flexible to where I would be able to do that. But yeah, we will be announcing what it is, so that
if you're
way
interested, you'll just have to stay tuned then.
Exactly. That audience retention, like they're probably dying to know what the next one is.
Yeah.
They are
All three of them.
on the edge of their seat. But yeah, so we'll announce it. That way you all can follow along, and then while we talk about it, maybe there's some stuff you noticed, and you could actually sound off in the comments in the video and chat and say like, "Oh man, you're completely wrong." And if we're wrong, we'll own up to it. But it's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. So the stream's lagging behind, and I look over, and I'm like T-Rex arms, like in the video in John's computer. Oh man!
And they make fun of me.
I got these little arms, man. So I got the T-Rex tattooed on my arm. I'm a dinosaur. But anyway, so. Another thing that we're going to be working towards is actually doing some, maybe not like on the stream or anything, but some retro game reviews and Let's Plays and stuff like that. I haven't really decided when that's going to start per se. I got to be respectful of John's schedule. I know he's a very busy fella. So I don't want to like push my schedule onto him. So yeah, that'll be coming in the future. So we'll be playing some old games. We'll be talking about some movies and watching some movies. So a lot's going to be happening on the channel. Speaking of which, I'm super excited to say we actually picked up the first sponsor for the channel. It's a local business named Game Junkies. And they specialize in old retro games. And I did a review of a NES console, which, by the way, if you haven't watched yet, you totally should. But not right now. Wait till the stream's over. We need you in here. But I did a review on it, and I was like, you know what? I'll just send it to them. Like, it's kind of like a, hey, maybe you could show your customers, and maybe if they have questions, they'll be able to watch it. The owner fell in love with it, and actually I went in and talked to him. Wasn't expecting much, but he slammed some product down on the counter and was like, review this. So that's actually the video I've been working on today, and it will release Friday. Super excited, and hopefully maybe in the future we can like Skype in Game Junkies and they can join us one day. Yeah, so exciting stuff. Channel's growing, channel's going places, which is a great way to end 2018 and step into 2019. But yeah, so how we normally start these streams without a 30-minute tangent on how we normally run the stream. We usually start off by talking about our weeks and what we're playing. So John, how was your week, your Christmas, your Thanksgiving, Halloween. It's been a while since we live streamed.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, it's been good. It's been life.
Been life. Isn't that the truth?
Got to spend some time with my family on the holidays.
Nice.
It was my birthday yesterday.
Ooh.
Went out with a couple friends last night. Got crazy, played some rummy.
It was wild in that house.
I think I might have saw you there.
Yeah, yeah. Me and Leanna went there. John's dancing on the table. Like it was just completely out of control.
On my birthday, the show's free.
That's the only day out of the year it's free. But
yeah, it's been pretty good. There's a horse in the room.
There's a horse in the room.
Whatever animal.
I'm sitting right here, John.
Of course, I've been playing a bit of a new game lately. Something you hooked me into a little bit.
Yeah, I totally introduced.
Should I say it?
So I totally introduced John into the world of like video game crack cocaine, which is
Warframe.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. So yeah,
very addicting.
Very addicting. I'm like super excited about Warframe.
It's very niche. I can't believe that I've fallen into it and stayed as long as I have. But if you're not up to grinding, then you're probably not gonna appreciate it.
This is like the most hardcore grind game I've ever played, where like 90% of your time, 80% of your time's gonna be spent grinding for stuff. Yeah, so if you don't know what Warframe is, I believe it's on like every console. I think it just released on Switch.
Yeah,
which
I think I did hear that.
Sorry to like ADD over here. The screen is flashing. I'm not totally sure why, but it is. Anyway, sorry about that. We'll try to get that fixed. But anyway, Warframe.
Free to play game.
Totally free to play.
Digital Extremes produces it.
Mm-hmm. And it's actually been out for a while. I think it released in like 2015.
I think even earlier. I think it may have been 2013.
Well, it actually started as like an entirely different game called Dark Sector. And it ended up being like morphed because Digital Extremes was trying to find a publisher, and at the time publishers were just like, no space games, like you've got to fit this certain mold or else your game's not going to sell. So they kind of shifted it and molded it into a different game, released that as Dark Sector, and then went back to Warframe, and that's what we have now. It started out like you had Earth and a couple other planets to explore and do your missions on, and then pretty rapidly, like, they've added a significant amount of content. And granted, some of it's buggy, but free to play. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a third-person sci-fi action game, as you mentioned. Heavy focus on collecting, on creating the best sets of the best Warframe, the best weapons that you can, collecting as many as possible. It's fun. It's a fun game. That's my
oh gosh, yeah, totally
expert
fun.
opinion.
This is our completely on the spot game review. But honestly, like, to be a free to play game, normally they're pretty lacking, like, in graphics and gameplay. Sure. They're pretty linear. Like, you can only follow a very, very strict path. But Digital Extremes has actually done really amazing with this game. You have hundreds of missions you can do, and items to collect, and things to build, blueprints to get to build the weapons. There's a whole community aspect called the dojo and clans, which, by the way, we're currently building a clan. It's kind of going along. You start
Get a
putting
few
stuff
road bumps.
into it. Yeah, yeah. You start dumping all of your stuff into the actual like dojo and clan, and then you're like, oh wait, I need better weapons. So that's kind of what we've run into there. But yeah, it's a very, very pretty game. Definitely looks good on my brand new 4K monitor. Um, but yeah, we've been playing the daylights out of it. I think we've been playing for like 2.5, 3 months,
Sure.
and I've got well into 100 hours into it, and I don't have a lot of free time to play games. So
Does have a few flaws. You mentioned the
definitely.
bugginess, which is kind of. I mean, with games nowadays, it's pretty much an inevitability.
Yeah.
But these are fairly game breaking at times. It's fairly irritating to put 20, 30 minutes into a mission and then have it fail because you clip into the side of a wall and can't escape.
Oh man.
But they're bugs. There's not much to talk about there. The very nature of the game is pretty divisive too. It is a collectathon. It is a grind. Everything's a grind, and it's very RNG.
Yes.
So it tends to be a bit repetitive as well. Oh man! Not only are you playing the same missions over and over to get various items and objects, but you're also a lot of times looking for the same objects over and over again. So if that's something that doesn't completely turn you away, if you can get past that barrier, it is pretty good. The only other major flaw I would say is that there seems to be a fair lack of communication, of organization within the game to let the player know what's going on. Thankfully, that's somewhat covered by a fairly well-structured wiki outside and a community that's actually pretty well involved and willing to help new players. I would say of a lot of these massive multi-online player games, the community is actually pretty warm to new players. You're always going to have some jerks, but most people are willing to help you out. So.
Yeah, and I have to say, especially for a free-to-play game, like the community is really, really cool. A lot of times you'll get jerks like in other games that will do spoilers if they know where you're at. But this community seems to really, really enjoy the plot of the game. And where I've even heard of, like, I haven't experienced myself because if I'm not playing with him, I play by myself. But I've heard of other people, asking, oh, man, that weapon's really cool. Where did you get it? And it's a plot item that you obtain through a mission that's, like, main story. So, like, people will say, oh, man, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. Like, just shut up. Like, I'm not spoiling it for you. And it's just something really unique to run into. Like I said, free-to-play games are usually so toxic.
It's
Like,
true.
I don't know if you've ever played League of Legends competitively, but I've never had so many, like, 12-year-olds tell me to kill myself. But, yeah, it gets pretty rough out there. But yeah, so other than Warframe, I actually have played a little bit of Chrono Trigger. My super awesome wife, who's sitting off camera, got me Chrono Trigger for Christmas, and where do I start with this game? So this is a game that I've always wanted. I have played and beaten it before, but I've never owned the game, and it's just so expensive for the North American version, and so I was super grateful that my wife bought it for me, and I've played around on it a little bit. I did have a bad save battery in the game. I got that fixed, so I've got to start over the main mission of the game. But honestly, like, if you haven't played Chrono Trigger before, yes, John, you will borrow Chrono Trigger once I'm done with it, because
Yes,
everyone should play this game. Like,
it's a classic title.
yeah, and it's classic, and it's one of the few classics that's just like, overall a great game. Like, your soundtrack is amazing. The art style is amazing. The way in which you fight in the game is different. Basically, like, and it's a difficulty set you can do in the options. You can have it active to where enemies just don't wait on you. Like, you have to make your decisions as they come up. So I really like that. It definitely keeps the pace of the game up, because a lot of RPGs, quite honestly, get a little bit of stale in combat. You might fight new enemies, but it's all pretty much like just the same. At least this will keep you on your toes. But yeah, so I've been playing a lot of that. I did pick up some old school Nintendo games, which we're totally gonna have to try out at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been what we've been playing. Let's see. We are currently at 30 minutes into the stream. Let me check something real quick. All right, I think we're good to go. All right, so
I think it's about time.
yes, let's talk about Bird Box. Now, if you haven't watched a movie before, this is probably the time in which you want to turn the stream off and watch the movie and then come back and listen to the end of the stream. I don't want to spoil it for you, but you've been warned, so there we go. So,
Fair is fair.
Bird Box, the brand new Sandra Bullock thriller film.
Oh,
You want to start?
What?
You want to start?
You want to start? You're already going. I mean, what'd you think?
Okay, so
Oh, actually, okay. Quick break. You want to make this a classic or classic segment, or are we just going to talk about?
yeah,
Bird Box?
well, it's not really classic, but watch it or pass it.
I think maybe now's a good time. When we do a classic or pass it segment, it's just buzzwords. Classic simply means yes, I recommend this movie. Pass it simply means you could probably go ahead and skip that one. Movies are seldom so black and white, and yet we will come up with something to tell you. Since we're going to do a classic or pass it segment here, I would personally have to say pass it.
Pass on my part. This isn't the worst movie I've ever seen. I want to preface it with that. Bird Box definitely had some high moments in it. It was really good about those like high tension, like, you know, something's getting ready to go down, like somebody's getting ready to get offed. But and this is where it starts to pass for me. There's no real. Someone likes Bird Box down in the chat. Kevin, I'm sorry, buddy, but you need better taste.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm just kidding. And it's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's what's great about this segment is it's just like we get the debate on this.
Yeah.
So,
and this what a great movie to what a great movie to start that on to. This is a very divisive film. As you've heard, it's a little insane how many memes, how much buzz have come up
the
around
memes
this
are
film.
real. The memes are so real with this movie. But yeah, like I was saying, the main reason I pass is there's a lot in this film that just kind of kills the tension points that are spread throughout it. For example,
Like thinking about it.
yes. Like, and it's weird. I watched this movie and I was like, it was an okay movie. Nah, I'm not mad that I watched it. And then the more I thought about it, the more holes kind of like show up. So at one point, Sandra Bullock is raiding this house, and well, not really raiding. She's searching through it, and she's looking for supplies to help her man and her children. Well, outside she hears a disturbance, and it's these like infected or possessed or whatever people. The movie's not really clear on it. Come whizzing through in their little like hot rods and making a whole bunch of noise, and then they just leave and they're gone. Well, later they're going through another house, and it's the whole family this time. And outside she hears cars. Well, boom, right off the bat, the people knew they were in there. Like last time, they just drove right past it. There was no kind of giveaway that they were even in this house. But the people immediately get out the car. They're like, we know you're in there. And I'm like, all right, yeah, like whatever. Not the worst thing that could have happened in this film. And there's a decision that is made in which the man of the household is like, I must sacrifice myself to save my family. And he just like walks outside, like that's gonna like keep them from looking around. It's not like they were in a teeny room and they were confined. They were outside, and they literally just look over and see the family escaping and like chase after them. And it's just little moments like that where I'm like, these big build up moments kind of get ruined a little bit because there's not really any decision making on the characters' parts. It's just like your standard like, oh, we're in a tough spot, I must sacrifice myself, and the plot moves on. Like there was no real reason for him to. I feel like there could have been 1,000 different ways he could have gotten out of there.
Well, you know, and I would say that logic be damned. I mean, it's a scene where emotions are high, but the other thing is that it's a very generic answer to a problem. And to roll it back a little bit, I would say that personally, that's my view of the film, is that it's just very generic. We've seen much of this before. There are constant allusions to A Quiet Place and The Happening made by those who have seen it. And honestly, of course there are. Because these are the most recent films to utilize some of these techniques. But of course, before these films, A Quiet Place, The Happening, we've seen this again and again and again. Bird Box really doesn't tread into any new territory. Now there are some tense scenes. I guess it is executed well in a sense, but there are a lot of sequences where you look at it and the logic doesn't really hold the film together. If I saw a reviewer that made the comment that if you can sort of appreciate each scene for what it is in and of itself, that's how you'll make it through the film. If you start to try to put these together and really get a look at the big picture, there's not much of one to be had. What personally bugs me with the creature, which, by the way, not bad effects.
No. And this, I have a feeling what you're getting ready to talk about is like my biggest gripe with the film.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, no, we'll get right into it then.
Yeah, let's dig into it because I want to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. So, the creature, and this is we'll just go ahead. This is a straight spoiler. There's really, to talk about this can't be avoided too much. So last call for leavies, but the creature is left unmasked, is left masked, is left unidentified. Whatever is going on, ambiguous, which is fine. Not really an issue.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely been done in horror movies and suspense movies in the past. That's kind of like the kind of general vision of any sort of suspense movie is like you don't know what's attacking.
Sure,
But,
and it can work
Yeah.
when it's executed well. We're given a little too much information to sort of let it go, and yet at the same time, not nearly enough to figure out what exactly is going on. The parameters of the creature constantly change. We're never really certain about exactly what it can and can't do. So their stakes are never quite determined. For example, at first it seems that the creature it can't really interact with it can't get beyond doors.
Yeah.
Can't manipulate physical things. At least
Yeah.
that would be the takeaway. Thus, it's only by seeing it, potentially by hearing it, that it can manipulate you, that it can affect you. And yet, we see a sequence where they drive a car, and then suddenly, with the windows blocked out, and then suddenly it rattles the car. And we see a sequence where it
Yeah.
pulls a rope and a bed moves. I mean, it's just, it's constantly changing. It's just never clear exactly what the stakes are.
Yeah.
How severely bad the characters have it. A
Yeah.
lack of definition. That would be my
Yeah.
fine.
And the lack of definition, like, that's really what killed the movie for me. Like you said, like it can't get through a door, but it rattles the car, and some could say that it wasn't the manifestation itself that rattled the car. Maybe it was people outside that were possessed, or
And yet we get a camera look at the outside of the car as the breeze blows by. And it's true,
yeah.
I suppose.
It's like you could say that that was what happened, but I feel like they spend the entire movie trying to get away from this thing, and the ultimate nail in the coffin is they manage to go all the way down this river. It's super treacherous, like they almost get killed, and at the end of the movie, they
See you,
find...
Kevin.
Yeah, see you, Kevin. They see where it is that they're going. They enter, and it's like, boom, problem vanished. They're never going to have to deal with this thing again. Like, they are completely safe. Movie end. And to me, that just completely killed it. Like, I'm okay with not seeing whatever it is face, but don't just give off the impression like happily ever after. When in actuality, like, who knows, maybe a tree could fall on the place and like the thing get in and kill everybody. And the thing that made them, oh hey, yo, there's Daniel. By the way, Daniel, we are talking about Bird Box, and we're spoiling some things, so if you haven't watched it, you may want to plug your ears, buddy. But anyway, so yeah, that's what killed it for me. Basically, it was just the, oh, you know. All right, good. What'd you think about it, Daniel? Was it any good in your eyes? Because in ours, it was... It wasn't the worst movie we've ever seen, but I'd have to say at the end of it, ultimately, I felt like, and John showed me a blog post that explained it perfectly, it didn't really leave you with anything. You watched a movie, and it took your time, and that's about it. It's the dumbest ending ever. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it really, it's fairly insignificant that they ended up at a House of the Blind. It means nothing.
Yeah. What good? They're blind. They're perfectly fine. But Sandra Bullock isn't. She can still see. Like,
by the end of the film, we see no real difference. Nothing's changed. This idea that she's in a safe haven now. Why? I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose it's a group of survivors. I'm sure they're planting yada 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 yada,
Yeah.
but it feels like a lack of progression. Not much. I guess the other thing to talk about with the film is its themes of motherhood specifically.
Daniel wants his 2 hours of sanity back.
Oh, boy and
But-
girl.
Yeah, right.
How ludicrous. Again, it's not. I notice people talk about the film, talk about its depth. And it's honestly, at least in my book, fairly bare bones done.
Yeah, and some people were biggest complaint was like, well, they don't really leave any room for a sequel. I don't think this is a movie in which they would sequel. I think it would kind of be like a Fear the Walking Dead, and it would just be ultimately some other crew of people experiencing like their side of the story. And maybe they would loosely tie it together, but yeah, I think for the most part this is probably a one-off movie. Let's see.
It's more or less another zombie film, but
Zombie without zombies, maybe? We never really know.
doesn't matter. Follows the same general plot points.
It's mass hysteria, really. Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah.
Perfectly put.
Specifically, there are themes about motherhood. She's scared, or she's worried about being a mother. Can't get close to anyone. She's basically reclusive in the beginning, and now she has this huge task of taking care of children. Essentially, we run through the film of her running from her fears. At the end, she accepts it. The theme of a bird box being that, that birds aren't meant to be kept in a box. They're meant to go free. You eventually have to let them free, and so she can give her children actual names.
And that will set them free. Free as they go into the School of Blind, where they will spend the rest of their lives. But
it was okay, and if you could connect with the characters at all, I suppose if
Daniel in the comment section said, Facebox. Yes, that's what this movie should have been called. Oh, man. But I know we kind of ragged on the movie a little hard, but I do want to take a minute to talk about some of the things I did like about the film. Like I said, it was shot very well.
Agreed.
Agreed. The way in which the actual look of the video is very believable. I feel like a lot of times with the whole post-apocalyptic, end of day sort of thing, it's very, very, orange tinted, and for whatever reason, all the vegetation's dead. But this actually shows, them surviving in the wilderness. They're overcoming, nature itself. Yes, Daniel, RTX was enabled in this video. It actually came to this platform before most of the titles on PC. By the way, what he's talking about is the new video cards that released had some technology that didn't really release when the cards did. So everyone paid premium dollar for meh. But so anyway, video's very, very nice. The suspense parts are very suspenseful. Like when they let Crazy Dude into the house, and he is insane. You just know it. And it's they're so quick to accept him into their household. And you're like, I don't know about this guy. Well, boom, suddenly all the pregos go into labor in the household, and this dude is drawing these demons downstairs, and that's about the only extent of the face you can put with the monsters. But anyway, he's down there being creepy as all get out, and like ends up fighting this one dude, like turning the garage door open and like trying to convert this other dude to like their crazy religion of looking outside. And yeah, like that was very, very suspenseful. That was probably like one of the biggest parts of the movie that like actually had me on the edge of my seat. The other part was shortly after, where Crazy Dude and Sandra Bullock's Boo are fighting downstairs, and like he gets knocked on the ground, shotguns like laying between them, and it's this like crazy moment of like racing to the shotgun, and whoever gets it first is gonna kill the other one. Well, like there is no reason that Sandra Bullock's Boo should have lived. That shotgun was pointed right at his face when the guy had the handle, and you hear the gunshot, and I'm like, dude's dead. Like, that's it. He's gone. And you hear walking upstairs, and Sandra Bullock's like holding the children tightly. And cut to the next scene, and they're together taking care of the kids. And you're just like, whew. Like, that moment right there was intense. But yeah, that was about the only parts of the movie that really, really like had me going. But it just wasn't enough for me to like recommend this movie to anybody. Like a 5-minute clip out of a 2-hour movie is not where it's at. But oh man. So normally, like, and I know people are probably just joining in. We talked a little bit about this before. Basically, the whole point of this stream is just to hang out and talk about things that we like. And yeah, there's no real strict structure we're trying to follow. We are trying to keep these about 45 minutes. Because I know we can probably ramble on certain subjects. So that's just to keep us like tied down.
Sure.
Because both
keep
of us
a little more focused, maybe.
Yeah. Because both of us will chase a rabbit hole like no one's business. Like nosedive in it.
Chase a rabbit hole like nobody's business is my middle name.
Would you? That. I think that was one of those word vomit moments. I don't think you chased a rabbit hole. I think you chased a rabbit to the hole. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. But anyway, so this was...
Down the rabbit hole. You're
yes,
falling down the rabbit hole.
you're going down.
Alice in
That's
Wonderland.
what it is. Got you.
Honorary game over here.
We talk about the important things in life, like whether you go in the rabbit hole or not. Let's see. I want video game serious talk about Fallout 76. Well, you know what, Daniel? I have a lot to say about Fallout 76, so if it's okay with you, John, I'd like to take a few moments to rant.
Go for it.
All right, where to
me.
begin with this? All right, so a while back, I was actually genuinely excited. I love the Fallout series. Like, even as buggy as Fallout 4 was when it released, I still loved it. I got hooked on 3, played New Vegas. I was really, really bought into the franchise. Yes, Sandra's Bullocks is in the rabbit hole. Confirmed. But, so, Fallout 76 was announced. Super hyped on it. Well, Todd Howard started talking, and, oh boy, man, it really went downhill quick from there. So, basically, he announced that you would not run into NPCs. It was all going to be online based. And I had followed a mod in which someone modded Skyrim to be online multiplayer. It was the buggiest, hottest mess ever. Like, NPCs would just go flying around the screen. Like, you couldn't even see them. They were moving so fast. Like, the physics-bound engine just did not know what to do with the characters. So, I just had this feeling right off the bat that this is going to be a dumpster fire. And I didn't pre-order the game, thank goodness. Game released, and it was just as bad as everyone expected. On top of that, Bethesda was doing like very regular patches that were like the size of the game itself was like a patch.
Wasn't that an OG Skyrim?
Wasn't that an OG Skyrim? Yeah. But so Bethesda being Bethesda, like they had their day one patches, they had their week one patches. The game itself just wasn't getting any better. You could launch 3 nukes at once and crash the server.
Oh my God.
And like just little things about that. Yeah, and then on top of that, there was the whole like canvas bag debacle, which was quite honestly just sad. So if you pre-ordered the premium version of the game, you got a whole bunch of stuff, and it was pictured you got this like canvas like duffel bag thing. Well, people got their premium packages, and it was like this crappy nylon bag that people found like the exact same bag on Amazon for like $5. And Bethesda was saying like they couldn't afford to make all of the canvas bags, but people knew they had them because reviewers of the game were sent that bag. And of course, internet being internet, were very upset they didn't get their canvas bags. And I believe there's actually like a class action lawsuit out. And Bethesda, trying to patch things over like in their way, was like, well, here is some in-game currency. And it was like $5 worth of in-game currency. And to which everyone argued, well, you couldn't afford to pay for the bag, but you're going to pay to give people currency. Yeah.
You know, I didn't hear about that. I'm a little surprised. Generally, I think of Bethesda as the kind of company where they may not always put out the most polished product, but they put their effort in. And I would imagine with that kind of mentality, it would fall over into their proceedings in the real world as well, yes?
Yeah.
That they would be somewhat loyal to the fans that are so loyal to them.
Yeah, and Todd Howard had us convinced that it was all hands on deck with this game. Every single person in that studio was working on this game. And boy, I have to call bullcrap on that one. Like, if all hands were on deck, then this game would not be as broken as it is. And we would not have the problems that we currently have. On top of that,
so you're saying even for a Fallout game, this is beyond.
It was beyond FUBAR when it released.
Beyond acceptable. Huh?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it just doesn't help when the company itself is just not taking it seriously. And it eventually got to the point where like they were just telling people, "Oh well," and yeah. See, Bethesda, and we should know this by now. It takes. Oh, I can't read all that.
It takes a while
to put out polished products. Yeah, absolutely. And I forgive Bethesda for releasing some like
sure, it's
bugginess.
Expected. It's inevitable.
I mean,
they put the effort in where it matters.
Yeah, like game-breaking glitches I don't stand for. That is BS. Now, you know, you're walking along and the physics engine just like bugs out and you shoot somebody and they go flying like 40 feet in the air. That's just funny. Like you shoot an NPC and they fall through the ground like that, whatever. As long as you can progress through the game and still have an enjoyable experience, like bugs are going to happen. Especially with something that's so open world environment. If they really kind of wrangled everything in,
and
then
the amount of control they put into the player's hands.
Yeah.
There's a reason you don't have this kind of control in other games, even in other open world games.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say? I had this like golden point in my head and I completely brain farted.
That if they wrangled it in.
Oh man, it's gone. It's totally gone. Like I I didn't back up that thought. There's no getting that one back. I believe we have a competition that forces these games too fast. I feel the pressure is ultra high compared to what...
To when we didn't expect games for years.
Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost a given at this point. It's become quantity over quality for sure.
And I think Bethesda has finally reached a point in which they've had the same engine since Fallout 3. The only thing is they keep putting these like Band-Aid fixes on the engine. They just kind of like loosely stitch it together just to make enough of a hold to be able to contain the game. And honestly, like, they're at the point where that engine's just failing them. Like, they need to innovate and redesign because this engine just was not meant to handle online play at all. It wasn't designed to.
Yeah.
I don't know what their beef with Unity or Unreal Engine, anything like that is. I would assume it would be pretty nice or pretty easy to build in those platforms because they're so widely used. But I don't know. Maybe it's like an EP thing, but fair enough. Yes, fist bump, Daniel. Too many damn mobile games. Yeah. And it... What was it that was just announced? Oh, so completely different developer, but yeah. So Diablo is gonna have a mobile game, and everyone's up in arms about that. Yeah, I don't understand the mobile kick. Like Fallout Shelter was pretty fun, but yeah, I don't understand mobile games. About the extent of mobile games is one I just picked up. It's Final Fantasy Tactics. And it's a game that already existed and was on PlayStation 1. So, if that gives you any indication of how far we've come, my cell phone can now run PS1 games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's purely, the poignancy is purely to pull in as many people into games as possible.
Yeah.
The masses aren't necessarily interested in, into PC gaming, into League of Legends and Diablo 3, 4, a more PC state, into the more complex mechanics that you find in most games, and into your Fallouts and your Skyrims. But everybody has time for a little 5-minute game where you move some pieces around on a board.
You're sitting on the crapper and you got 5 minutes to kill. Daniel says, this week I'm playing this game called Cryo Shift. It's where I make a bunch of coolants to change color by temperature. Lols, no vacay for me. Oh, man. Kudos to you, man. Like, you've been at it. You've been killing the game. Like, I've never seen somebody with, like, so much social media presence and, like, still keeping the lab going. Like, I don't know how you do it. I'm trying to get up to 2 videos a week, and it's killing me. Like, I don't know how you do it.
Very nice indeed.
Yes, very nice. But I think that is where we're going to call it quits tonight.
Yeah, feels about that time.
Again, this was episode 0 of Player Tuesday. Next week,
special episode. We'll package it in a couple decades. We'll put it out, and
yes, we'll ship it with your canvas bags. 7,000 hours in man, holy crap! Yikes, that's a lot of game time, dude. That's dedication. But yeah, so that's Player Tuesday. Next week we're going to be kicking off with our regular content. I'm going to try to fix this flashing video nonsense going on. But yeah, so we will see you all next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Curtis.
John is my name.
Bye. Just bye.